Welcome back, Twisters. Nick here. Today I'm going to be ranking some NHL jersey concepts. These are coming by way of Jonny Rockford. I've posted his information down in the video description. He's actually been featured a couple of times on Post to Post. He won a contest on there, and he also had a set of jersey concepts that I reacted to on Post to Post alongside, of course, the GOAT Neil, or the son of the GOAT, I should say. All right, so Jonny has sent me here 31 concepts, and these are alternates, and these are essentially the away versions of the alternates. So most of these are going to be white, although some of these are also yellow, cream, gray, and I appreciate that because I think the NHL should allow that for away jerseys. And of course, guys, I invite you down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite concepts are. You can even rank these 31 to 1 if you would like. All I ask is that you respect our designer right here. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And so we're going to start things off with the bottom, work our way to the top. So at last, I have the Buffalo Sabres. For me, there really isn't all that much going on with the striping. I'm not a huge fan of gray with yellow. I am a color snob, guys. I do like the original logo, of course, and that he has the two different shoulder logos. Those are kind of fun. But in general, this is a bit empty to me. You'll also notice that in some of these, I might talk about the numbers being too low on the arms. There are just some kind of positioning and scaling comments that I might have from here and there, but I don't want to beat things over your head with them. So this one is last. Up next, I have the Winnipeg Jets, and I think it's really cool that we have this sort of two-tone striping, or at least with the armbands and with the waistband as well. It's hard to really pull that off, and for me, the reason why I have this pretty down the list is because, I think of the two different shoulder logos, I think of the numbers. Just to me, the color scheme, you have these various elements that aren't cohesively fitting in together with this jersey. I still appreciate the boldness on this, and a couple of the bolder designs are going to be toward the bottom here, so I want to definitely tip the cap. I also like the fact that you have the shoulder logo as the main crest here, though. That actually turned out better than I would have expected. Now I've got the New Jersey Devils, and design-wise, this one's okay. One thing you'll notice with me is that I prefer rounded shoulders, and most of the designs here have the cutoff shoulders when you have a shoulder yoke, so I won't comment on that so much as we get further down the list. I do like that you have that sort of black stroke on the logo. I think that actually looks really cool. Maybe the Devils should look into something like that. But the rest of this is kind of to me. Not really doing it, but certainly not horrific, I don't think. So I've got it here. We've got plenty of better concepts in my opinion, and those will be coming up. Now I've got the Dallas Stars, and to me there really isn't anything wrong with this design. It's just that it's a design that, I don't know, there needs to be more to it in order for it to be higher up in my rankings. It's a little bit different from the design they use right now, but again, you still have the green shoulder yoke. That's pretty consistent with their away jersey. You did the collar. You did a nice job on the collar though. And yeah, it's kind of a plain design, but nonetheless, it's not bad. It's just that I wanted to reward some more points for creativity. Now I've got the Los Angeles Kings, and this one definitely gets a lot of style points for creativity. For me, it's just that the two color schemes, pulling from the original 1967 scheme and the current color scheme of silver and black, that doesn't do it for me. Although, again, just experimenting with that here it's actually kind of cool. I gotta say, I don't see this being an NHL jersey, but again, I gotta give credit where it's due. I do like the Burger King logo on the front, even though it's a horrific, brings back horrific memories. I think it actually works pretty well with this design here, and I actually don't mind the Los Angeles on the waist. Now we've got the Detroit Red Wings, and I like the hockey town in the collar. I think the stylized D actually works pretty nicely. I would just recommend moving that up a little bit more. From my perspective, it looks to be a little bit too low. Another thing that I won't comment on too much as we get further into the rankings is the numbering on the armbands there. That's coming like right where the elbow is, so you don't want the numbers to actually be bending in real life. So that's another kind of nitpick that I have. Otherwise, this looks okay. It's still fairly conservative and reminds me of the away jersey that the current Red Wings use. It's almost like there's just enough of a difference to where it could actually work in real life. Next up, I've got the Flyers, and the reason why I have this a little bit lower is because I don't really dig those monochromatic shoulder patches so much. I don't know why it's just not really working for me so much. It's also missing the NHL shield on the collar. The The striping is a bit of an overkill for me too, but I really like the numbers and I really like the outline to the logo and the Captain C right there. I wouldn't change any of that. Now we have the Carolina Hurricanes, and I remember commenting on this when I reviewed this on Neil's channel last year, the darker version of this. The sort of neon red, or sort of that neon effect, that reminds me a little bit of being in an old photo room back in the 90s, and the shoulder patches definitely speak to that as well, I think. So I don't think that works for me all that much here, but I really like the way that you kind of hybridized the two alternate logos that the team has used in its history. I actually think that looks pretty nicely, and I wouldn't mind that being the primary crest for this team. Of course, I always got to give you kudos for using the storm flag pattern. Again, it's just that I kind of wish we had like a stark black and just a regular red, but others might think otherwise. Now I've got the Ottawa Senators, and this one to me, pretty solid. I really like the crest, actually. I think that looks pretty nice against the sort of visual reference to the O logo. The shoulder logos look good too. So I think the color scheme looks good. I guess that my only, my biggest nitpicks would be the armbands being moved up to where it intersects with the elbow. And I'll try not to, beat a dead horse with that one, and the numbers being moved up. Collar looks okay to me. I'd be curious to see what it would look like though if the red and black striping on the backside actually made its way all the way around the collar. That might look kind of cool. It might not. I don't know. But definitely some potential with this one. Now I've got the New York Islanders, and I really like what you did with the logo here. I think that looks pretty nice, and it shows that you don't actually need that encapsulated in a circle. I think that the shoulder yoke actually looks really cool here. My thing is that I don't like the collar. I don't like that design with that sort of triangular piece coming down in orange, and then the laces. The laces are okay. I don't like Adidas colors, and I think that lends itself to jersey concepts that I don't like that much. But in this case, if you take that away, I like the rest of the jersey. I think the striping is certainly unique and interesting. And yeah, overall, this certainly has potential as well. That's kind of where we're at right now. A couple of tweaks away from it being a concept I really like. Next up, I have Edmonton, and you can see here a union between the color scheme the team currently uses and, of course, the classic, or not so classic, Todd McFarlane jersey from the early 2000s. I think the way you've pulled this off, though, is actually pretty good. I think that the use of orange, it works just perfectly. You have just enough in there to kind of tease the viewer. Maybe scoot that logo down just a little bit, but otherwise, I think you did about as well as you could with these motifs. Now I've got the Predators, and this to me is just a couple of tweaks away, I think, from being really good. I don't mind the numbers on the shoulders at all, and I think the shoulder yoke, the way that you did that, looks really good. I would just want it rounded off. For me, I think the one thing that ranks this just a little bit lower than it should is that the guitar pick logo, I actually think it would look really nice between all those stripes that you've got and the actual shoulder yoke. I know that obviously you're alluding to the pick actually strumming guitar strings, and as a guitarist myself, I do appreciate that, but I think that you could maybe pull that away from there, and that would kind of fill the jersey out a little bit better. That's just my impressions there. The rest of the jersey, though, I think is solid. Now I've got Vegas, and this looks okay to me. I remember thinking this was pretty cool when I looked at the dark version last year. The reason why I don't have this all that high is because the shoulder logos with the neon effect, that doesn't really do it for me. It's kind of fuzzy, honestly. And I know that that's sort of the intended effect, but when scaled down like that for the shoulders, maybe it would translate well on print, but or like real life. But for me, not here. The numbers look pretty solid. The rest of the striping looks, I think, good. I like the sort of V that you etched in the armbands as well. So overall, one or two little changes away, and I'd really like this one. Now I've got the Vancouver Canucks. I actually really like this jersey design overall. I guess the reason why it's not as high as it could be is because it looks pretty similar to what they've had before. But overall, you've got great elements. I like the use of color here. I like the separation between the green and the blue on the sleeves and on the waist. I also really like the heathering that you have in the sleeves, or as in the colored armbands as well. That looks pretty good, I gotta say. Everything is Pretty good. I wouldn't change very much about this. Not a huge, I'm actually thinking you might not need the Canuck logos on the shoulders. Everything else I think fits together pretty nicely. Next up, I have the Avalanche. This looks beautiful to me. I think that, again, you did this about as well as I think you could have. There isn't really much I would change at all. I even like the little silver at the edge of the collar. It's so, yeah, everything about this is very clean, actually. I don't use that word very often, but this to me is clean because it's interesting, but it's well composed. It's not trying to do too much. I like the recoloring on the logo. That looks great. I like how it bleeds into that, cerulean blue in the chest stripe. All that's great. I guess the only reason why I don't have it that high is because I've seen so many concepts like this already, but this is probably one of the better ones out there, I gotta say. Very nicely done. Now I've got the San Jose Sharks. This is my team, and overall the design on this I think is pretty good. I like the stage gradient. I don't mind that at all when it comes to experimenting with that for the Sharks, kind of, with a sort of water sort of motif, right? Because it gets darker the further down you get. Lettering looks really nice as well. The collar, you got the teeth in the collar and it says this is Sharks territory. That's all fantastic. So what about this do I not like so much? Well, first of all, I know people ask me about it, like, what do you think about the orange for the Sharks? I say, well, we're not the Cabo San Lucas Sharks, we're the San Jose Sharks. That's my only critique there. But the way you used orange here in general, I think is actually pretty good. The biggest change I would make is just changing this from gray to white, unless you wanted to go with gray and remove orange. That's pretty much my biggest gripe with this. But otherwise, you pulled it off quite nicely, I have to say. Next up is Calgary, and man, look at the bottom of that jersey. That is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, I don't even know how you made that happen with just that shoulder logo. But the logo recoloring on the front crest, I think that looks pretty good too. One thing is that you probably pulled from a file that used a sort of mustardy, slightly desaturated yellow. I would rather go for like the straight up bright yellow. I'm more of a fan of that. The only thing that I would suggest tuning is the collar, that red piece in the center where the shield is. I almost would like to see that in yellow, but overall, I think this is a really nice concept. The alternate lettering looks great as well on the, up here. Really good work overall. Next up, I have Toronto, and I actually think this looks pretty cool. As weird of an idea as it is, the actual execution of it, I think, is pretty nice. I guess my only critique here would be for the collar. I almost would think just straight up white, or maybe just the rim on the top, that could be in blue. Otherwise, I actually really like this in general. Next up, I have the Boston Bruins, and you've got my favorite logo, so I have to absolutely thank you for that. And you've got, I think, the years they've won the cup, I want to say, in the collar. Everything else looks pretty nice. You have sort of nods to the 2019 Winter Classic, and I'm also seeing kind of that late Bruins motif on the shoulders, or what they kind of reissued in 1991. So I really like that. Now, it does have a bit of a bumblebee sort of feel to it, but a lot of jerseys did back then, so I can't really dock you so much for that. So overall, this is really solid in my opinion. And here I have the Rangers. This is lovely. Statue of Liberty, of course. This reminds me of what they wore from 1998 to 1999, that one season. The shoulders are certainly busy, in my opinion, but I like what you were going for. I would think that you probably don't need the actual crests there or the actual logos. Everything else I think looks good. I think the striping is fine too. Again, just move the armband up and the numbers up just a little bit too. Overall though, I can't complain. It's a lot of fun to look at this one and reminisce. Here we've got the Washington Capitals, and of course using the Weagle is the way that it should be done. You got the caps on the shoulders with, I guess that might be slightly recolored, I don't know. But I don't mind that so much either. I like the little trim with the red stripe on the shoulder yoke essentially. And actually the collar here I think looks pretty nice. And the elements for the striping, the armbands, the waistbands, those are all great as well. I love how you can see the Capitol building on the waist stripe as kind of a silhouette. Here I have the Coyotes. This is just gorgeous, man. I love the off-white, or sort of that, I guess, sand white that they should look into, I think. The collar with the Kachina pattern there looks perfect. The striping on this is great. A lot of these elements are just beautiful. I even like how with the shoulders, you used the rounded shoulder feature and then cut them off at the bottom like they did in the 90s. I'm not a fan of that, but I think that the fact that you went to that extent to make that actually stick out, definitely get a couple points for that. So yeah, overall, this is beautiful to me. I just think that in general for Arizona Coyotes concepts, they should just stick to the current team's color scheme of, sort of that dark brick red, black, sand, white. Like I'd like to see the Coyotes, that Kachina logo recolored, and then we're talking, certainly. Chicago, beautiful. This is great to me. The feathers on the striping are kind of a neat thing to look at as well. Like the shoulder logos, that's great too. My only thing I don't like is I don't really like the numbers. I would like to see maybe that actually just be red and black instead of trying to tie in the other colors. Everything else, though, I think looks great. The color is magnificent with what I think is the nation's best skyline in Chicago. I used to live downtown, so I would know a thing or two. And yeah, just a well-composed jersey. I've seen a lot of jersey concepts using this color scheme or with that striping scheme, but I think you did it just about as well as anybody else has done. Now I've got the Anaheim Ducks, or the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. This is composed quite beautifully, I have to say. I like how the shoulder logos look. I think the main crest on the shoulders looks pretty good for the Ducks. If I were to gripe about anything, it would be, I don't know, your dark jersey had different coloring for the primary crest, and I think that actually stood out better against the rest of the elements and the colors throughout the rest of the jersey. But it is cohesive here too, so I think it's quite beautiful. You even have the striping in the collar that the team featured in the bottom of that classic Mighty Ducks jersey. So to me, everything here looks great. The lettering looks really nice too. Not much else I can really suggest as far as changes go. This to me is this is sort of the ideal road jersey in my opinion. Next up, we have the St. Louis Blues. I love this. The chest and the crest, I think that is perfect. That is magnificent. It works so well in my opinion. The arms work pretty well for me as well. It might be a little bit busy featuring the numbers with the stripes on the arms, but that aside, I certainly dig this. I think it's very well composed when you look at the collar, the interior collar with the motif of the flag of St. Louis. Again, sort of that middle part of the collar is the only gripe I have. Everything else, though, is mostly very, very nice. I think this is kind of like 8.5, nearing 9 out of 10 for me. Now, normally when I look at jersey concepts, I don't really care for the ones for the Lightning, but this one I think is actually one of the better ones out there. And this, to me, I love the stage gradient, the bolts that you have scattered in between. I think it works really well. I think this works better than any alternate that the Lightning have ever had before. The reverse retro is pretty good, though. I don't really find much in the way to nitpick here. I would like to see this with a blue logo and blue numbers, and I actually don't think you need the shoulder logos. I think that you could take those off, and the rest of this jersey looks pretty nice. I would love to see Tampa Bay in the collar with the 2 Stanley Cups that they've won. Then I'd purchase this immediately. Next up, I've got the Florida Panthers. This is beautiful. Just look at those palm trees in the bottom of the jersey, in the body. That's great. You got the Florida State flag. Beautiful. Yeah, not too much that I can really call out that I haven't already for the other jerseys. So, yeah, the armbands with the numbers on them, I think that looks great too. So, this is terrific. Really, it is. Here we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins, or shall I say this, the Pittsburgh Steelers Penguins. See, you look at the armbands and the waist, that is an homage to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course, you've got that sort of emblem on the shoulder there too. I would almost want to see both of those, but I know why you only have an emblem on one shoulder, because that's how the Steelers do with their helmets. So that's actually very creative. I would be surprised if you weren't a Pittsburgh Steelers fan or a Penguins fan. But yeah, I think the composition of this is terrific, honestly. This is how any team with a black and yellow color scheme should be looking at a concept like this. That is how you pull it off. That's how you make use of yellow properly on a white jersey. It's great. And I love the, I guess, revamped Penguins logo with a little Pittsburgh there in the triangle. Now I have the Montreal Canadiens, and of course, this is a nod to the Montreal Maroons. Beautiful. I I love this. This is so classic. You have that classic collar as well. You know, the sweater collar. You have L and H on the shield, or for the shield. It's great. You have the 2 M's for the Montreal Maroons. I can't really object to much of this. I love the cuffs with the maroon there too. Yeah, it's just straight classic. Look at those numbers too. You even have that sort of pattern that the Canadiens used for the 2016 Winter Classic. So this here it's again getting close to that top spot. It really is. It's beautiful. Here we've got the Columbus Blue Jackets, and this is basically what I would want the Blue Jackets to use as their away jersey. Maybe in the navy and red color scheme, but you pulled it off perfectly here. Love the design of the stripes, the armbands, the coloring on the cuffs there. It's just so beautiful for a team that, you know, is only 20 years old or 21 years old. You pulled off that vintage look absolutely perfectly. I love the collar, the interior, the laces. Yeah, this is just teetering on the edge of perfect for me as it pertains to the Blue Jackets. And number 1, I have the Minnesota Wild. Look at this, man. This is creativity and originality and doing something that's completely different, but it works. It absolutely works. Look at the collar. You've got the silhouette of the trees, and then, of course, the inverse of that on the body of the jersey. It just ties in so well, I think. The script lettering in red, I love it. I think it's wonderful. I have 2 gripes with this jersey. One would be to reorient the M on what is the left shoulder, because it looks like, oh wait, no, that is not a critique, because the W means wild. Excuse me, I sit corrected. So you don't change a thing about that. My only gripe would be to change wild in the script logo to make that white instead of green. Otherwise, man, mwah, bellissimo. Absolutely bellissimo. Such a great job on this. It's creative, it's clean. Oh man. I have 4 Minnesota Wild jerseys in my collection. That would be a very welcome 5th. I gotta say, that's like a full price, $180 US. I don't give a damn. Let's make it happen. What a great way to end things here. So Jonny, thank you so much for spending so much time on this and for taking a look at this. Again, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below your favorites. Feel free to also rank them. Just be respectful to our wonderful designer, and also see Jonny's information down in the description down below. If you're curious in working with sports templates and sending me some jersey concepts or uniform concepts, you can reach out to me. My email is included in the video description below. You can also see a link to our channel merchandise, because we got hats, shirts, all that good stuff. That's going to do it for this one, Twisters. Thank you so much for hanging out. Leave a thumbs up. Helps others like you discover this channel. Hit subscribe. Hit the notifications bell. I'll see you again for more Jersey talk in the weeks and months ahead. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you later. Ciao.